Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of FSi DFS Fantasy Baseball Picks. I'm your host, Meg Brewer 31. Usually on a Friday morning, I'd be saying we've got a big slate today with 12 games, which we do. But we've got some 14-game slates, a 15-game slate this week, so a 12-game slate doesn't seem as imposing as it normally does. We've got Coors Field, we've got some good high-end pitching, we've got some good middle-range pitching, we got some great bat situations, so lots to talk about to kick off your 4th of July weekend. So um, just let's get into it. Let's do it that way. So first game, we have Milwaukee Brewers, Pittsburgh Pirates. I think we still need to be conscious in the Midwest areas like Western Pennsylvania, Ohio, Illinois, some of those places of the Canadian smoke. I mean, there's still warning in my area, but it's been nothing like when games got canceled. I know I think the San Diego game was postponed in Pittsburgh. Not postponed, but delayed due to smoke air quality, but they didn't end up playing it. So just not too concerned, but just keep an eye on that. And of course, always check back if you hear buzz of concerns with weather or anything like that. We usually try to throw some updates out about half an hour before lock if anything major changes in the chat in the video here. So anyways, Brewers, Pirates, Freddie Peralta, Osvaldo Bido. Peralta, definitely a good pitcher. Reynolds should be back for Pittsburgh, so that should help their lineup a little bit. But I think he's still in play. Probably his second favorite pitcher in the high range. Beto, I think, would be my favorite cheap pitcher here. Guy's got a great combination of pitchers, and even though Milwaukee can go pretty left-handed heavy here, I think that he definitely can generate enough strikeouts and go far enough in this game to be viable even as your SP2 in cash. Bat wise, not super interested in anybody here really. Milwaukee put my 150 max, and Pittsburgh, I mean, they go in the cheap category, but there's nothing super exciting about them at all. Next up, we have the Twins and the Orioles. Pablo Lopez, Dean Kramer. Lopez has struggled a little bit, but I think in Baltimore there's a good offense. But I think he's okay here. I think he's more of a GPP play than I play him in cash. Kramer on the other side, I think it's a great play. Against a Minnesota offense who can be, potent at some points, but does have a lot of Ks in it, especially the current configuration. So, especially against right-hand pitching, I know they have some lefties, and they almost like rotate lefty righty throughout their whole lineup, no matter like who they face. So, but I think Kramer, I like what he's done recently. The game's in Baltimore, and at 84 degrees and the wind is blowing out 10 miles per hour, but I think he's solid here. I like him in this matchup against Minnesota, and you're saving like 1.8 if you play him over like Lopez. I know Lopez more of like a high-end pitcher, but I think Kramer's definitely in play here. Bat-wise, Minnesota, I think they can go the cheap range here, and they're not super expensive. Like Correa is like the most expensive one at 4.5. Or actually Buxton's at 5.3, but Correa's just been ice cold here. Like Julian and Krylov and hits over. Kepler's cooled off a little bit. I mean, he was on a tear about a couple weeks ago. Lewis was good when he first came up. I mean, Gallo always has power, but can strike out 4 times to get the golden sombrero in any game. So I think there's definitely some potential there. On the other side, Orioles, I think I'll definitely be playing them in some GPP. Definitely a leverage stack of Lopez as a high-end pitcher is going to pick up some ownership. Then, I think they're going to go left-handed heavy on the top here. Mullins, Rutschman, Santander, O'Hearn, and then even Gunnar Henderson, mix Hayes in there. So Hicks is a switch hitter. I mean, they can just Frazier, they can bat at the bottom. So pretty much Hayes and Westberg might be the only right-handed bats in the whole lineup. So not as bad as San Francisco. There is some pinch hit risk, but not as bad as San Francisco. Next up, we have the Boston Red Sox and the Toronto Blue Jays, James Paxton and Jose Barrios. No, you're going to look at Paxton be a left-handed pitcher here against pretty much an all right-handed lineup, except for like probably Varsho. But he's more of a reverse splits guy, so he's actually better against righties than he is lefties if you look at his statistics. So I think the Paxton's in play here. I have him down as fourth because I think he's more of a GPP play than a cash play. But definitely, if you're paying up for pitcher, he's somebody that could be in play here for you. Barrios on the other side, I rank him below Paxton, even though you're saving like $800 here. The left-handed power, it might be a park downgrade here for the Boston Bats because I think Fenway's a better hitting park than Toronto, definitely. But still left-handed power here if Yoshida's back in the lineups, especially Duran, Verdugo, Devers, Yoshida against Barrios, who's been hit or miss. I think he's been much better at home though. So I don't know. I'll let you figure out there. Both pitchers are in play. I like Paxton a little bit better, even though he's more expensive. Bat wise, I think they're both leverage stacks. I think both pitchers will pick up some ownership. I always play a Boston stack almost nightly with like the lefties here, really like them. And Toronto, again, I think they definitely in a GPP you can stack them if you're playing 20 max. Even I wouldn't use them as a cash stack. San Francisco and the Mets, we have Cobb coming back from the IL. He did make some starts for rehab, looked decent in it. Carrasco on the other side has just been rocky this season. San Francisco, I think, definitely is a GPP one, but as I say, you have to make sure that they hit early and often, or you're probably going to get pinch hit. For Wade usually stays in the game the whole time, but Peterson definitely could be pinch hit for. Sabo could be pinch hit for, and actually, it looks like the lineup they're throwing out against Carrasco, who has been a kind of reverse splits guy also, looks pretty right-handed. So it might be okay here with the Pittsburgh stack. A San Francisco stack here. Bailey's a switch hitter, and it looks like he's going to be potentially in the 5 holes. So, I mean, that's something someone to consider. So, definitely play. Like the pricing is a little bit, they've risen a lot here recently. They're in the 4K to almost 5K range, where before they're cheaper. Further on down in the lineup, they do get cheaper. But I don't think I want to play most of those guys. Mets on the other side, and they've been Jekyll and Hyde. They can show up and put up 10 runs, or they can put up nothing. So you could build a lefty stack here. Nemo Lindor had been hot, but except for yesterday when I played him, I think he had a bagel on that one. Alonso's decent both sides of the plate. Pham has just been pretty last month, although I don't like the splits advantage here. McNeil and Vogelbach really haven't doing great. Beatty's moved to the bottom of the lineups. He's cooled off a lot since he came up, and Alvarez isn't same thing. So I don't know. GM's out there saying that he's going to make some moves. If these guys don't start getting together, he's going to sell everything off and start over again, but he's going to keep the GM and the coach, which I think they aren't the problem. I think it's the problem with the team is like the injuries with pitching that they've had. So I think what they need to do is fire the trainer. Over the last couple of years, they've had like injuries with bats and pitching, and just maybe figure out a better conditioning program or how to better manage arms and players. So when it comes to like their physical condition. Anyways, on to the next game. Miami Marlins, Atlanta Braves, Hoeing and Soraka. Not interested in Hoeing. He get shelled here. It's 88 degrees, wind blowing out 10 miles per hour for Atlanta. So definitely great hitting conditions. Soroka on the other side is a great prospect. He's been dealing with injuries and then just finding a place in the rotation with some of the other guys that came up around him actually being healthy and pitching well. So, I mean, the guy was touted like probably 4 or 5 years ago as someone that to keep our eye on. So I like that he's getting a chance here against Miami. I know Miami's been scorching hot recently in Boston. They swept the series. Ariza's hitting almost 400. Soler's doing well. Jazz has come back and looking amazing. So it could be a little bit risky here, but I think that in the cheap range for 7-1, even with the wind blowing out, even against this Miami, it's a park upgrade for them, but it's a downgrade, I think, from Fenway. So I think I'm going to be playing some Soraka here as my hope I'm saying that right. It's been a while since he's been up, so haven't forgot how to pronounce his name. But anyways, I think he's definitely a great candidate for SP2. Bat wise, Miami definitely makes a great cheap stack here. They're not too bad. Everybody's under 5K except for Jazz. 4.9, 4.8 is almost 5K, but they're definitely manageable here. Braves are super expensive. They're priced like they're in Coors here. Cunha 6.6, Elby's 5.6, Riley 5.5, Olson 6.4, Murphy 5.3. So it's gonna be very expensive to get them in, but I think they'll have very low ownership in the context of the slate. I think a lot of people are going to play Dodgers at KC with a 6 total, almost a 7 total there, Coors Field. So Braves will be sneaky. I'm definitely going to play a stack of them. I did it the other night where they had super low ownership, and it was like when they were playing home run derby there. Too bad I paired Detroit with them, and they did absolutely nothing against Dunning in Texas that night. And I believe that's who was pitching, and so I did okay on that line, but it wasn't as amazing as I thought it was early on at 8 o'clock when you're leading almost everything after all the home runs that were hit. So next up, we have Houston and the Texas Rangers, Blanco versus John Gray. Blanco, not interested in, maybe in the cheap range, but Texas has just been an amazing offense recently. Again, they came alive yesterday. John Gray on the other side, it's been up and down the season. I don't know. I think in the mid-range, he's okay. I think there's probably about 3 pitchers or 4 pitchers I play above him. He's just, Houston is starting to put it together. Again, I know they don't have Alvarez back, but they're starting to click, which could be scary. The bottom of the lineup is still questionable, but the top of the lineup is starting to become better. Even Abreu, who was like the weakest link up there, is starting to round into form. Texas, I can never say don't play Texas. They're another amazing stack. Like Semien, Seager had the day off yesterday, so he should be back. Lau has the splits advantage. Garcia, I believe, had another home run yesterday. Young, righty, but still, I'm okay with that. Heim, switch hitting catcher there. Duran's been, solid. He had 1 or 2 home runs 2 days ago. He might not have 2 home runs, but he had a pretty high score in DK. And Tavares on the other side, if I want to do wraparound stacks, got some speed and power also. So always like Texas. So Detroit Tigers and Colorado Rockies in Coors Field. Here's the time where we seriously consider playing the Tigers. Although I did play the Tigers a lot last week. I'm starting to round into form with some of these guys here, and they've been cheap and some decent fill-ins. So Virling, or actually, let's start with pitchers. Lorenzo, no. Gomber, no. Okay, now we got that out of the way. Bat-wise, Virling should be leading off here. Usually does against the lefty. I believe he's a former Philly. So he's decent here. 3.5. Torkelson had 2 home runs yesterday. He's hitting the ball really well. Ibanez always does well against left-handed pitching. He's really come into play a lot recently. Baez, 5K for him almost. I don't know. I might skip him and play, leave that spot open in the stack here. Haas or Rogers, who are playing catcher, both of them have great power here. Shoop hasn't been bad. Miguel Cabrera, maybe 10 years ago. And then short, there's a chance he might lead off if Virling doesn't. I've seen that happen before. Or you can use him as a wraparound at 2.9. That's not a bad price either for him. And then on the other side, Rockies bat. Chris Bryant should be back for this one. If he's not, then Tovar will probably hit in the 2-hole as he has been. Profar leading off in play. Bryant even coming back is in play. McMahon is the lefty there. Cron, Nolan Jones might be my favorite play here. Lefty's got some power, got some speed. Castro, if you want some savings here as the splits advantage, should play second base at 2-8. Even Doyle. So pretty much most of the Rockies are in play here against Detroit, and they don't have a really good bullpen behind them either. Next up, we have the Dodgers traveling from Coors Field to Kansas City. We have Bobby Miller, and then we have Alec Marsh, 4K guy, not an opener. So start with Miller here. Miller's been roughed up his last couple of starts, but I think this is a great good right spot for him. Like Kansas City has just really struggled. Their WRC plus is bottom 5 in baseball. There's just, I mean, they lost Pasqualino for the season. I just thought a couple of years ago that they really, when Witt came up and having Perez there and MJ Melendez was decent, that they were on their way, but it just hasn't happened. Like, bits and pieces, they put together runs, but they're nothing sustainable. So maybe they've got maybe like they're like Cincinnati, maybe they got some other young guys in the system that they can bring up to complement some of these other younger guys, or like Baltimore, and then finally push them over the top. I don't think it's happening this season. So Kansas City, I think, is a great spot for Miller to get right here. Marsh on the other side, I'll be playing some of him here because I don't think this is a dumpster dive. He's not a great pitcher, but he doesn't need to do much at 4K to get things going. And I know the Dodgers have a 6 total, but they played in Coors Field last night, which is not a complete West Coast game like they were playing at their home stadium. But then they obviously have to travel to Kansas City. Plus, as we always say, it's different swinging Coors Field than it is other places just because of the thinness of the air. It takes a while to get your timing back. So first couple times through the rotation, like Marsh might be able to get some strikeouts here. He does have some strikeout pitches in his arsenal, so I don't think it's completely crazy to play him. And I do like Miller on the other side. I would not play him in the same game, of course, because I'm looking for probably the win upside. Bat wise, Dodgers, I mean, they look like the top stack. I think I'd rather play Coors. I'm not going to talk you off them, but I think with some of the other factors that Angels, Texas, Colorado, or Atlanta, or Detroit could be better options. Kansas City, not going to touch. New York Yankees, St. Louis Cardinals, Severino, Liberatore. Severino has been great, and the Cardinals, again, I thought, okay, they're starting to put together a little bit here, and then I think they got like absolutely dominated last night, and I don't think they put up any runs. So it's, again, there's just such a frustrating season. I don't understand it. I look at this roster, and it's a decent roster of guys, and I think, if I was more the talk about blowing up the Mets, and there is rumors like for like Goldsmith maybe to be traded to someplace like the Yankees potentially, if Judge is going to be out for the season, and get another big bat in their lineup, because they definitely need that. Apparently St. Louis was off yesterday, so I probably, oh no, they lost 14-0 to the Astros. So that's St. Louis's season right there in a nutshell. So not playing Severino even, probably, but in the cheap range, you got to keep him in mind, especially in GPPs, or if you land on him as cash as SP2, I'm fine with it. And the Liberatore might be one of the worst pitchers outside of Coors Field here on the slate. The Yankees have put up runs recently, but again, it was against Oakland in their bullpen. So I think going to St. Louis here, wind blowing in 9 miles per hour, was 94 degrees. So it usually bodes for good hitting weather. They're definitely playing a GPP, especially, how right-handed they can go here. So DeLeMahieu, Torres, Stanton, I don't know, maybe he'll snap out of here. Bader's usually pretty good. Donaldson had a home run yesterday. Isaiah Kiner Falafe. I know I'm not saying that right. I'll just call him IKF. But anyways, he hit a home run yesterday, and if you watch the game, it felt so bad. Reese from Oakland ran out, and he made an amazing catch of the ball, jumped up over the wall, but as the ball hit his glove, it knocked it off his hand, and ball and glove go over the wall. So he's just standing there with like his head down in the outfield. I'm a Yankees fan, so I enjoyed the home run, but I did feel bad for Ruiz because he made an amazing catch but couldn't keep the glove on his hand. So, but anyways, St. Louis, probably 150 max for them here. Not super interested in them. Arizona Diamondbacks and Los Angeles Angels. Tommy Henry is a bad pitcher, so not interested in there. Canning, Arizona, not playing him against Arizona. I mean, he's had some good spots this season, but not against Arizona. Even with Corbin out of the lineup potentially, scary moment for them. He had some tightness in his shoulder, same shoulder I had surgery on or was injured and missed a lot of the 2021 season, I believe it was, with, but they did like x-rays or whatever, and structurally it's fine, probably just sore. So hopefully with a little bit of rest he will be okay, but still there's enough power in this Arizona lineup. I don't want to play Cannon, so Arizona is probably one of my favorite top GPP stacks even without Carroll in the lineup. I play them every single night. It'd be cheaper to get them in now, and maybe I compare them with a different team now, like they're not playing 6K for Carroll. And then, but he might be back in the lineup just to keep an eye on that. But in Angels, I think definitely against Henry, even a tiny lefty and lefty I take, but Ward, Trout, Drury, Renfroe are two guys in the middle of the order. They absolutely mash lefties. Usually Escobar has been good since he's come over from the Mets. Wallace, if he's in his catcher at 3-1's a great play there. Even I don't hate Fletcher if you're doing a wraparound stack, a shortstop at 2-5 to try to make the stack work. White Sox and Athletics here, Tanner Banks and Luis Medina. Banks are not interested in even against the A's. And then Medina, I think it's a fade also. So I think the White Sox make a compelling case here to be a great fill-in stack. They're really cheap. With Roberts, I think at 4.7, it's the most expensive one. Everybody's in the 3K range here. So, and don't worry about splits here because the Oakland bullpen's really bad behind the pitcher. So I think everybody's in play here. I love playing Gavin Sheets against righties. If he starts, usually at like 2.4, like super cheap, has some power. So White Sox are definitely using the bats to fill in. And Oakland, I think the same thing here. Esteury Ruiz, who I said had that not catch in the outfield there, still has stuck on, I think, 39 stolen bases, but he's going to probably lead off. Like he's cooled off a little bit with the bats, so they have been hitting him in the bottom of the lineup, and they've also seen a lot of righties. But against the lefty, you usually I wouldn't play Diaz at shortstop here. He's hitting like 200 right on the nose. Just trying to keep his average above the Mendoza line, as they say. No to lefty and lefty I'm okay with, but Carlos Perez, the catcher here at 2.6, is definitely in play. Rooker should hit up in the order. Langer, catcher, definitely is another one to look at too. So Oakland, definitely some nice cheap fill-in places here if you don't go with the White Sox. Final game here. We have Shane McClanahan against Bryce Miller. McClanahan is probably a top pitcher on the slate here if you can pay the 11K for him. I mean, you might need to play McClanahan and Marsh to get the bats in that you want, but they're so expensive. But definitely probably worth it if you want to go that route in cash. Miller on the other side has started off the season really good. It's a tough matchup here. We'll probably be playing some of them. I like the price, the discount, because they're playing Tampa Bay. And, you know, Tampa Bay is human. Like they've had some stretches where they haven't put up as many runs. I mean, they put up 6 yesterday against Arizona. They're still out on the road, so it's like they're traveling, but they're not, you know, traveling out to the West Coast. They've already been out there for a little bit. So Tampa Bay definitely in play bat-wise. Also, both pitchers I think are in play. McClanahan, it's going to be hard to get to, and Seattle would definitely just be a leverage stack against them. So let's look at some builds, and I'll get you on your way to start off your holiday weekend. So it's Miller time. I'm taking Bobby Miller up top for the Dodgers. And for my SP2 to get some of these bats in, I'm probably going to have to go with like Kramer or Beto or Soroka. I don't think I have to go down to Marsh in this one. So give me whatever catcher is catching for. I prefer Haas over Rogers. He's hit more consistently, but either one is fine. Torkelson, love at first base. Ibanez, McMahon. Jones is my favorite Rocky outfielder there, and you can fill in with the rest of the Colorado or Detroit bats as you please. For FanDuel, Bobby Miller, same thing, Torkelson, McMahon, Ibanez, Veerling, I'm going to take an outfield, and then, take your pick between Profile, Bryan, or Jones. Jones is my favorite, but he's like 3.8, so it's kind of hard to get him in this lineup if you want to do a full stack. If you want to take a one-off, then I'm perfectly fine, or pay down a pitcher a little bit more, then that works also. For GPP, I'm just going to give you Marsh. It's a GPP. He's 4K. That opens up for you to get the Atlanta bats, Olsen, Alves, Acuna, as I said, fill in with the Chicago White Sox or fill in with Oakland. Either one works. You can switch out these ones and put the Dodgers back there. So this could be Freeman, Muncy, and Acuna Spice could be Betts. It could be Texas. You could go Lau, Simeon, even take Anderson out and play Seager there, Garcia in the outfield, however you want. Even the Angels, you can go Otani, you can go Trout, and then you can play, or like I said, Drury, and who else is good there? And Renfroe. You can take your expensive bats out here and just fill them in and whatever. Marsh is your SP2. Build the line of bats that you want with other staff, would be the Dodgers, Angels, Texas. I like Atlanta the best here, or Arizona, whoever you want to throw out there, and then figure out what pitcher fits. Maybe tweak the bats a little bit to get, if you want a little bit more to get up to a guy, or if you have some left to get a better bat. That's how I'm going to build my GPPs tonight. So I'll probably have like 5 or 6 of them just using that pattern. And FanDuel, Kremer is going to be my SP1. So I can get the Braves in, Olsen, ABs, and Cunha are where I'm going at. So if you want to try to get Riley in there, or Murphy, or whoever your 4th piece is, go for that. And then fill in with Chicago White Sox again, or you can use Oakland, or, Miami. There's so many different options that you can go. So pretty nice slate. Pretty cool that it doesn't seem like besides smoke there might be any weather issues. So lots of great choices. I don't think there's going to be many duplicated lineups, so which is great. I really like that when you have the imagination to build a ton of lines. I usually probably end up playing way too many lines, but I usually limit myself to 20 max. So but I've got some great combinations that I worked out here, so it's hard to do the video because I always try to do these dummy builds beforehand, and I had a bunch of them I like. So these are the ones I settle on, but again, you can go in many different directions here. So, going up to McClanahan and Cash is perfectly fine too. The Detroit's cheap enough that you don't have to stack Colorado with them. You could throw in some other cheaper bats, again, from Oakland, Minnesota, Chicago White Sox, San Francisco. Even the Yankees have some cheap bats out there too. So lots of ways to go. So if you have any questions, put them in the comments below. Hit me up at MegaWord31 on Twitter. If you want more information about FSi DFS, then go to the description of the video and you can get into our website there. And especially it's good to sign up. NASCAR is coming up this week. We got 2 races in Chicago. PGA, if you like golf, please check out our channel. We do some golf videos, and they're short, so they're very quick. So if you want to get into PGA, it's I know we're kind of in the middle of it, so like Wednesday night, just come to the channel, and usually there's one, or early Thursday morning, and usually there's one for the top plays of the week and the top sleepers, and they're really quick watches, and you can build your PGA lineups and be all set to go for that. So and always, as these videos help you, please like, subscribe to our channel so you know when all our videos are coming out, and share with your friends as you continue to do, and help us to continue to grow this mission, I guess, to help you guys build better lineups in baseball and all the other sports that we cover, to NASCAR, PGA. See what NFL season brings. Maybe I'll do some NBA coming up. Who knows? So appreciate you watching. Hope you have a safe weekend. Probably have the slate on Monday, so I'll probably see you then. So until then, good luck in your contests. Have a great weekend. I'll see you next time.